Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us on Face Off tonight. I am Nel Taigbe. Tonight, we're looking at something that every Nigerian has been concerned about, from the least to the greatest. Power. Why? It affects everything. It affects businesses, it affects homes, it affects academics, it affects health, it affects transportation. Every aspect of life is affected by power. So when you do hear the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, who recently spoke to the press, talk about increase of tariff. Now, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, has announced plans to increase tariffs this week. According to the regulatory agency, a final meeting with the DISCOs to seal the new rates proposal is in the works, and the distribution companies have stressed that except consumers pay more for energy, it will be difficult to sustain supply. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, I just talked about that, said the proposed tariff is key to reliable supply and appeals to consumers to accommodate the incoming increase. Now, questions. Should electricity supply be subsidized? Would the new tariffs be fair on the consumers and on the distributors and generators? Would consumers get their money's worth? Should the tariffs be increased at all? That's where we're going to anchor it. Should they be increased at all? Well, I have two gentlemen in the studio. Don't say anything yet. One of them is a consumer rights advancement advocate. Thank you for coming, Diolu Ogumbanjo. Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And on this other side, we have Sunday Oduton, Executive Director, Research and Advocacy, Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors. So he's at the head. Thank you for coming, Mr.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers. Thank you. Good evening, Nigerians.
Okay, we will take a moment and hear from them. Tell us, should electricity tariffs be increased? A quick one, in 10 seconds.
Thank you very much. The current situation...
Should it be increased?
Yes, it should be increased.
Thank you.
But it's not about being increased. It should be reviewed upward. It's different.
What's the difference between reviewing upward and
there's a difference.
Okay.
I'll tell you that.
All right. Should it be increased?
Not at all.
Thank you.
It shouldn't be increased.
All right. We'll take a moment and come back. The two of them happen to be titled men. They say they are chiefs. So let's see how the chiefs will explain the tariff situation and what it should be like in the future, in the nearest future. We'll be back shortly. Remember that you can be a part of the conversations. Our Twitter handles at FaceOffToday at Nel Taigbe if you're doing Twitter, or you can send us a mail, faceoff@channelstv.com if what you want to say is more than 140 characters. Don't go away. We'll be back shortly.
Because of this, when this plant was built about 3 decades or a little over, there was a lot of pomp and pageantry here. But thereafter, I think maybe one more or perhaps none was built. But our population has grown since then. This plant, I think, has an installed capacity of 1,300 and something megawatts, 6 turbines. Over the years, one turbine after the other shut down. And by the time this plant was sold, I think barely 1.5 or 2 turbines were operational. Today, we are at a point where all the 6 turbines are back on stream. Now, one of the things that they've told me they're doing is to sign a dedicated power evacuation to a co-disco. And it's the discos that bring power to our homes. And I think what we would expect is that we can convey the message very clearly that if a co-disco takes power and is able to dedicate it to those who can pay a slightly higher cost, which our regulators must now begin to accommodate. Because if there is a willing buyer and a willing seller, we must allow the economics to take place.
Welcome to the Channels TV app for the Nokia Lumia phone. Click on the Channels TV icon to get started. Get the latest news and stories, and you can also watch us live by clicking on the live TV icon. We have the eyewitness section so you can post events happening around you. To do that, click on the post. Select Change Media to send an image or video. Enter your username, report title, and report description. Don't forget to read and check the terms and policy box. Click on the post icon and your message will be delivered and could be used if it's newsworthy. Visit our topics page and view our various programs. Channels TV app for Nokia Lumia. The news at your fingertips. Thank you very much and welcome back. We're looking at should the electricity tariffs be increased. You heard the Minister of Power, Works and Housing talk about the need for a system where those who are willing to pay for slightly higher tariffs can be assured that they'll have power supply. But let's come back into the studio here and see if we can get some answers. Gentlemen, you said it should be increased.
Yep.
And he said it should not be increased.
Very, very at all.
Okay, maybe you should ask the first question and let's take it from there.
Why do you think the tariff should not be reviewed upward?
Whether you call it increase or upward review, for God's sake, what I am not enjoying, what is not supplied. In fact, to talk of enjoying it optimally, in fact, is making an understatement. To tell you this, we are not enjoying what you now want to review upwards, quoting you. Sorry, how do you want to increase or review upwards what I don't even have in the first instance? It's just not right, and it's going to be resisted.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I need to, as much as possible, let you and our viewers understand the state of the Nigerian electricity industry. Because if you know exactly what the problem is, maybe you can now understand why we need to fix it as soon as possible without going into any kind of big grammars or technicalities.
Do you have to fix it by increasing the tariffs? Is it by increasing the tariffs that you can fix it?
It's not just about that. It's not just about that.
That is what you are saying. You are saying
what I'm telling
to fix it, it means, and you have to, first of all, hammer the guy first before you heal him. No. I mean, that's not right.
Okay.
What you are saying is, this man, I know something is wrong, but let us make him wrong the more before you fix him.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
The good thing about my uncle here, Chief, is that he was very much an adult. I can see from the gray hair. He was an adult in the days of ECN.
Yes.
And I was a young boy, but I was old enough to know the supply of electricity in Abeokuta, where I hail from. Then we had the days of NEPA, then later PACN, before the entities were privatized. Now, we all know for a fact that all these facilities were not maintained. All these facilities were ignored by successful governments in Nigeria. And we're talking of the rot of 50 years, minimum of 30 years of this rot. We took over on the 1st of November, 2013, and you expect that to be fixed in 2 years, then we must be joking. But that's not just the only reason. The point I want you to understand is this. Nigeria is among the lowest power generation per capita in the whole world. For several years, especially the military governments of those days, they ignored, and there was a lot of corruption in the system. And I'm sure you heard the Minister of Power when he mentioned the state of the turbines over the years. And when those things continue, there was no expansion capacity, there's limitation in gas supply, there's problem with transmission grid, even the distribution network. All these were the situation when the government on their own know that they could not cope anymore, and then they sold it to private investors. And in selling to the private investors, there was a contract. And part of the contract shows what the government, represented by the BP, what they would do, and of course, what the new investors are expected to do over the next 5 years.
Hold on. 1 second.
All those
One second.
yes.
I don't know if he has that question, but something's coming up here.
Yes.
Did you know the state of the infrastructure before you bought the facility?
Well, if you're buying a Tokumbo car, yes, they will open the bonnet.
So you knew?
Well,
of course they know.
No.
You knew the state of the facility?
Fairly
Fairly
well. In
well.
this country.
Wait now. You knew the state fairly well?
Fairly.
Okay.
But that's not even the
But
issue.
when you knew the fate, what
Yes.
did you decide? What did you say you were coming to do with the facilities that you knew fairly well that it was decayed?
And that's why I was talking to you about the agreement reached with the federal government. Because at the point of privatization, there were a lot of people who are misinformed, who didn't want this to happen. The staff of NEPA were protesting, PHCN staff, they were protesting and were threatening to do a lot of things. It's just like buying a car. If you are buying a Tokumbo car from an old man, and children are saying, Dad, don't sell the car, we will not allow the man to take the car. And you roll it down the road, collect your money, and the man goes and say, okay, go and use the car for 1 year. Anything that comes out of